You walk into a dim warehouse to deliver a package. You think it's a job, a mix-up, a name called wrong, a handshake offered because someone expects an arrival. You return it. You smile. That smile seals a contract you never read. The room goes quiet the second your palm touches another's. Eyes measure you like currency. A man with a scar leans close. He murmurs a line that should have been a question. You answer the way people do when startled too honestly. Now you're introduced as family. Now you're an asset. You feel the shift like cold air entering a closed room. Your phone vibrates with a message that isn't yours. 2 words. First job. Your throat tightens. You could leave. You don't. You stay because leaving looks like guilt. Because leaving would make them curious. And curiosity here gets punished. You walk out with a parcel and a number carved on your wrist. Adrenaline hums. You realize too late that mistakes can be doors and traps at once. You have 24 hours before they check your work. You have no plan. You have a face that now belongs to someone else's ledger. Level 2. They give you rules like a baptism. Rule 1. Never ask questions that don't belong to you. Rule 2. Obey until told otherwise. Rule 3. Family covers its own. You repeat them quietly to yourself in the backseat of a black SUV. You memorize names you won't ever need to say. You memorize cars, routes, smells. A man slides a burner phone across the seat. You tap the screen. Empty. A single number is pre-saved. The first job is simple on paper. Drive a box across town, drop, walk away. You do it. You think the worst will be checks. Instead, you get a call an hour later. They want confirmation. You fumble through lies. The voice doesn't ask about the package. It asks about your hands. It asks whether you would take a life. You laugh it off. Your laugh sounds small. That night, you dream of hands stained not with ink, but something darker. You wake up with the taste of metal in your mouth. You begin to understand the currency in this world. Small favors buy heavy debts. Level 3. They pull you deeper with kindness and threats braided together. A woman brings food to the safe house and calls you kid. A man teaches you how to fold bills to hide a microchip. They slip you into the rhythm of business, precise, brutal, efficient. You become reliable. Reliability is dangerous here. You earn a nickname and a small cut of money. It feels like breathing after a swim. Then they ask you to do a favor for family. A man owes them something. He must disappear for a while. No one calls it murder. You are on the edge of it. Your hands tremble as you take the keys. You drive to a motel at midnight. Your mind invents excuses. You tell yourself it's only temporary. You tell yourself you will never cross the line. But a job has one rule. Finish it. You stay in the parking lot watching a flashlight carve through rain. When the man appears, he pleads like a child. You hand him a cigarette, the way people hand strangers cigarettes. You light it for him. You tell him to go. He backs away. The gun is a weight at the base of your skull. You reach for it because not reaching would mean death by suspicion. You pull the trigger. The sound detonates in your chest. You're a different person on the way back. You throw up behind a dumpster and collect yourself like laundry. You join a family that just made you complicit. You realize your mistake isn't just a handshake. It is a moral removal that cannot be made up with cash. Level 4. Guilt is a living thing here. It follows you like smoke. They notice it. They valorize it as loyalty. They use it on you and others. They say, if you can live with this, you belong. If you cannot, you leave and leave a life behind. Another task arrives. This time, it's not a body. It's a ledger. Names, numbers, routes, proof. You hide it under your bed and stare at it at 3 in the morning. You think of your old life. A cramped apartment, text from your sister, a job that smelled of coffee. You consider burning the ledger. Instead, you copy it. You make a plan with the only currency you have left: information. You start small. You memorize phone numbers. You watch patterns. You build a map in your head of who answers to whom. The more you learn, the more dangerous you are. Knowledge makes you valuable and hunted. You sleep less. You trust no one. On the outside, you play the part. Laugh with the men, drink their whiskey. Call them brothers. Inside, you count days. You measure time by the distance to escape. Level 5. Planning becomes your full-time job. You need a route that isn't on their network. You need cash clean enough to disappear. You need an ally. You pick someone others overlook. She's quiet. She moves like she keeps her options open. You trade favors for loyalty. You trade stories for information. She reveals a back door, a contact who moves people north for a price. The price is steep. You have to deliver one final package to pay for it. This package is a key to the inner circle. If you hand it over, you'll have the exit fee. If you don't, you stay. They tighten the screws like a surgeon testing nerves. You practice leaving at night with a backpack. You pack passports that are as real as hope. You memorize bus schedules. You practice lying to customs in the mirror. You write a note to the sister you might never see again. You fold it into a shirt and hide it. You realize there is no clean break. There is only trade-offs and timing. You pick a night that smells of rain and risk. Level 6. Execution feels cinematic in your head. In reality, it's messy and full of small betrayals. You take the keys and your heart like contraband. You drive to the drop. An engine coughs too loud. A light flashes where it shouldn't. You improvise. You call a number you copied weeks ago. You say a name. The signal passes. They send a distraction, an accident, a shout, a gunshot that splinters silence. You move. You hand over the package. The contact counts and looks at you with something like pity. You pay the fee. You hand the copy of the ledger to the woman you trusted. As you walk away, a shout tears the night like paper. They never intended to let you go. A man you thought was an ally steps forward to block your path. Your heart crashes against your ribs. You run. You run through alleys that smell like diesel and fear. Bullets kiss the plaster near your head. The world narrows to your breath. You jump a fence, cut your palm, leave a smear behind like a confession. You make it to a bus with seconds to spare. You look back. The men watch you from the corner of a neon-lit street. One lifts his hand as if in benediction or doom. You don't know which. Level 7. You reach the border with a small fortune and a ledger burned in your memory. You think this is freedom. They call you once. You don't answer. Silence is a decision they find offensive. A week passes. You change your name in minor ways. You grow hair where you didn't before. You learn how to smile without admitting that you belong to a story that will never leave you. But freedom is not a clean slate. It's a ledger with blank pages you never fill. You sleep in safe houses and pay off people who keep their mouths shut. You send money to a sister with a note that reads, "I'm okay." It lies. Sometimes at night you imagine the faces you left. You imagine the man with the scar smiling as you drove away. You imagine him finding someone new to put a name on. You realize the cartel is less a place than a system. It recruits mistakes, it trades in fear, and it grows because people like you make small concessions. The final choice isn't about running or staying. It's about what you become in the cracks between choices. Level 8. You survived. But survival costs something you can't cash. You look at your hands. You trace the scar where the wristband was. You promise yourself one thing. Never let a handshake decide who you are again. You fold that promise into a plan. One day, maybe, you'll go back. Not for revenge, for the ledger, for the names. For those you can't save. You keep moving. The road is long and there are eyes everywhere. You learn to speak in small truths and big silences. You live like a ledger, numbers moving, debts settling slowly. The camera pulls away as you step onto a bus. Rain kisses the window. You press your palm flat to the glass and watch the city shrink. You think of the warehouse and the handshake. You think of how one small mistake can rewrite a life. You breathe and hold your name close. The bus hums to life. The night swallows you.